On March 4th, at around 7:30 ET, a catastrophic event occurs as an unstable rocket crashes into the moon. While this may not be as bad as it sounds, it raises the question of what certain crashes may mean for us. Like the time when the Cosmos 954 crashed in northern Canada in 1978, spilling radioactive debris over a large part of the Canadian wilderness. The crash on March 4th was first thought to be from a SpaceX Falcon 9 mission, which was to monitor the sun and warn us of some potential solar storms. But after some digging, it was discovered to be part of a rocket launched from China that had gotten unscrewed.
Look at the back. Screws are loose. Damn it.
The crash left a 354-mile-wide crater on the side of the moon. That's as long as the distance from Los Angeles to San Francisco. As big as the collision was, the moon barely felt it much. So how big must a collision have been for some devastating consequences? And what are some other huge galactic collisions we should be worried about? Be prepared because we are going to consider some of the biggest collisions known to man in this video. Our moon is no amateur to space collisions. In fact, 100 asteroids hit the moon every day, which is why the moon has so many craters. Luckily, these asteroids are roughly the size of a ping pong ball and leave behind small craters, usually the size of a large pizza. But let's say something big hits the moon, something way bigger than humans could send. What if the dwarf planet Ceres hits the moon? I know this sounds scary considering Ceres is only 3.5 times smaller than the moon, but what could happen would actually surprise you. For starters, the moon is way tougher than you think. Even with Ceres being 3.5 times smaller, it wouldn't even knock it off orbit. It would be more like a 4-year-old trying to knock down an NFL lineman. But the dwarf planet also wouldn't go down so easily, as it's also the largest asteroid in the asteroid belt and wants to live up to its name. The collision could lead to Ceres breaking apart and would also melt the moon in the process. Over time, the moon would gain some mass from Ceres, and volcanic activity could start due to the increased temperature. This could lead to the moon gaining an atmosphere that's twice as thick as Mars, and also make it possible for life to form on it due to the water gained from Ceres. The moon may form oceans and may end up looking like a mini Earth in the night sky. This would also lead to the moon having more protection from asteroids, as smaller asteroids would get burnt up in its new atmosphere, similar to what happens when asteroids fall on Earth. Okay, if we really wanted to knock the moon off orbit, we would need something roughly the same size and force as the moon, approaching it from the opposite direction. Then that could have some pretty devastating effects, even here on Earth. Okay, let's raise the scale a little bit. What happens when two huge Earth-sized planets were to collide? If they collided head-on, this could be really destructive and cause both planets to completely disintegrate. And after a while, they would eventually fuse back together, creating an even bigger world. But if the collision was less devastating, the impact would lead to the planet becoming a huge pool of lava that would eventually even out to become solid rock. In fact, the moon and the Earth were formed this way. Billions of years ago, the Earth collided with another planet called Theia, causing them to combine, and the debris surrounding it also clumped together to create the moon. Let's also not forget about the other planets like the gas giants. What if our Earth were to go head-on into the huge ball of gas known as Jupiter? If you think our terrestrial planet would pierce through the giant and somehow scatter all its gases, you couldn't be more wrong. The thing is, Jupiter has really strong gravity holding it together. That's 2.5 times stronger than Earth's gravity. As the Earth approaches Jupiter, it makes its way right into its hydrogen-rich atmosphere. A lot of this hydrogen would spread out on the planet, and some would get launched into space. As the Earth punches through the planet, it would gradually disintegrate and be completely torn apart. Its remains would be absorbed by Jupiter's core, making it bigger and making the planet glow a bright red for thousands of years. Something of this nature was believed to have happened to the ice giant Uranus, as scientists believe a collision with a smaller planet caused it to have its 90-degree tilt. Okay, so we get the idea. The bigger one wins and all that, but What if the collision was on a scale many times bigger? What if stars collided? Let's say Alpha Centauri, the closest star to us, collides with our sun. If both stars collided at incredibly high speeds of 300 miles a second, they would both dissipate into a vast cloud of gas, never to reassemble into a star. Hey, if you're enjoying the vids so far and are willing to support me in making them, be sure to like and subscribe. Now back to the video. Okay, instead of these stars going full speed at each other, what if they slowed down a little? In this case, the two stars would orbit each other for a while and would slowly merge to form an even bigger and hotter star. Now the real actions begin when two smaller stars collide. Neutron stars are the collapsed cores of supergiants that ran out of fuel. Despite these supergiants exploding, the neutron stars preserve most of their original mass while being millions of times smaller. Neutron stars are among the densest objects in the universe and are the most powerful objects in the universe, excluding black holes. If a neutron star collides with another, they would have no choice but to implode into a black hole. If a single neutron star gets big enough, it can also become a black hole without the help of another. Now we're at the most devastating objects in the whole universe. What would happen if black holes collided? Let's start by seeing what they would do to neutron stars. If these two catastrophes were to ever meet, the incredibly dense powerhouse that is the neutron star would somehow be bested by the black hole and get completely torn apart by it. The thing is, when the neutron star gets too close to the black hole's event horizon, it wouldn't be able to escape. It would get completely swallowed up by the black hole, only to make it bigger and more powerful. After that event, another neutron star was ready to battle with the black hole. Only this time, it had gotten enough mass and became a black hole itself, ready to avenge his fellow neutron stars. If two of these black holes were to collide each other, they would orbit one another and create a vortex of matter between them. And after millions of years, they would form an even bigger one. While that may have sounded a bit boring, the real fun lies in the ridiculous amount of energy that would get sent out as gravitational waves. These waves could have unprecedented effects that can change the shape of other celestial bodies in its region. One of the biggest black holes in the universe was formed this way 7 billion years ago, in what is considered to be the biggest collision in the history of the universe. The resulting black hole is so big that physicists aren't even completely sure it exists. We've considered the largest collisions in our universe, but on a more galactic scale, the Milky Way and Andromeda collision is one that will completely change the shape of our galaxy in years to come. All this talk about collisions make you wonder what we as humans could probably do in the event of one threatening our species. You can learn more about that in this video, where we talk about humanity's effort in conquering the universe.